Hi guys, happy Wednesday. Today we are going to take a look at some different igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. We're going to look at the different characteristics of each rock, and hopefully you were able to go outside and find a rock. We're going to take what we learned today and hopefully you'll be able to figure out what kind of rock you have and how did it form. Is it igneous, sedimentary, or metamorphic? Okay, the first type of rock that we are going to talk about is igneous rocks. Now remember, igneous rocks are formed when magma or lava cools. So this can happen either underground or above ground. If it happens above ground with lava, we call that extrusive igneous rock. If it happens beneath Earth's surface, we call that intrusive igneous rock. And some things that we want to look for when we're deciding if our rock is an igneous rock, we would look for some gas bubbles. So remember when we looked at the rock that I said was from Hawaii and it had lots of holes in it? That would definitely be an igneous rock. Another thing to look for is something that looks like a dark piece of glass, very shiny, slippery like glass would be. And another famous characteristic of an igneous rock is that it's salt and pepper kind of mixed throughout, lots of black and whites. All right, so let's take a look at some igneous rocks. I've got a whole tray of rocks right down here that I'm going to be pulling up to show you. And the first rock that we're going to take a look at is called obsidian. So here's a picture of that. As you can see, it's very shiny. It's got very sharp edges. They call this nature's glass because if I rub it, it really does feel like a piece of glass, although you cannot see through it. It's very dark. So this is obsidian, an example of igneous rock. Okay. Our next one is called granite. Now you may or may not have seen this in some kitchens. This is typically used in countertops. Also, you might have seen it in a cemetery. They use it a lot for gravestones. It's a very tough rock, and it's known for specks of black and white and gray minerals. It can also come in a lot of different colors, but this is an igneous rock. Our next one is called scoria, and if you look closely at this, you can see all of the gas bubble holes in this. And it's very light. This is usually black or brown. This one's kind of reddish brown, but you can see all the different holes here. And the last igneous rock that we will look at today is called pumice. So there are lots of little tiny air holes, and this is such a very light rock, it almost feels like a cotton ball. It comes in gray or tan, and something cool about this rock, I've got a glass of water here, and this is the only rock that will float. So if you can see that, this rock is floating. That's because of all the trapped air that is inside of that rock. So, pretty cool. When you're trying to decide what your rock is today, one of the tests you could do would be to see if it floats. If it floats, you know it's pumice. If it's not, you have a whole lot of other choices. Our next type of rock is sedimentary rocks. So remember that sedimentary rocks are formed by sediments that get compressed and cemented together over a long period of time. Things to look for when we are talking about sedimentary rocks, we want to look for fossils. We might see some imprints of different things in these rocks, maybe shells, maybe animal bones, different things like that. We might see some small pieces of rocks or shells in there. And it's very rough. It can almost feel like sandpaper. And you may be able to see some layering in these rocks because of the different layers of sediment that have been compressed through the pressure. Now we will take a look at sedimentary rocks. Remember, these are formed by pieces of other things that hard together. The first rock that we'll take a look at is the conglomerate rock. And this one has got lots of little pieces. You can see many things compacted in there. Do you see that little piece of rock there? Lots of things pushed together. Again, this is a conglomerate rock. Our next one is limestone. And on one side, it just looks like a normal white rock. But if you turn it on this side, we see that characteristic of fossils in there. Do you see the shape of a shell imprint in that rock? This is, again, called limestone. This is what the Great Pyramids at Giza were built out of. And our next one, this one is called sandstone. And you can clearly see the different layers. We call that strata. And it's throughout the whole rock. The layers stay the same. And it really feels like sandpaper. You can tell this is different layers of sand, compressed and cemented because of pressure. And the last one that we will look at, this one is called shale. You can kind of see some layers there. It's a light gray, thin layer. It may have fossils in it. This particular sample does not, but a lot of them do. And that's it for sedimentary rocks. Do you think you might have an idea of what type of rock you have yet? If not, we will learn more about metamorphic rocks. So remember, metamorphic rocks are rocks that have been changed by heat and pressure. So some things that we will look for in this type of rock, we might see wavy lines or stripes. We might see some thin, flat sides. Or we might see some sparkles. Those are all characteristics of metamorphic rock. So the metamorphic rocks that we're going to look at today, remember, are rocks that have been changed by heat and pressure. So the first one we're going to take a look at is slate. And this is very thin, dark. And something interesting, the shale that we just looked at before, which was a sedimentary rock, if this goes with extreme heat and pressure, it's what this turns into. It becomes slate. And slate can be gray to grayish and somewhat shiny. I don't know if you can see a shine on that. Not very shiny, but a little bit. This is what people used to use back in the old days as their chalkboard. They could write on this and then erase it. The next one is marble. This is very white. It's got some sparkles in it. May have veins in there. People use marble sometimes for countertops. They also, a lot of our ancient famous statues are made of marble. Can also be used for flooring. Lots of different uses for marble. The next one is schist. And if you look at, do you see the shiny, I'm trying to get it, those little specks in there are called garnet. This is a garnet schist. So it's got the layered look, sparkly, it's got some dark specks. And if your birthday is in January, this would be your birthstone. And our last one of our metamorphic rock that we're going to look at today, which looks a lot like marble or granite, but this is called schist. And if you see there, we've got lots of planes and bands, this layering look, and it's pronounced gneiss, even though it starts with a G. It's gneiss. Some more layering there. All right, so let's review the different types of rocks and what we should be looking for so that we can identify the rock that we found or the rock that we had. So the first type is our igneous rocks. Remember, those are formed from cooling magma or lava. Some things to look for would be gas bubbles or holes, maybe dark glassy color, or maybe salt and pepper mixed throughout. Sedimentary rocks are formed by pieces of other things that harden together. So some things to look for in this type of rock would be fossils, maybe imprints of different things. You might see small pieces of rock or shells. It'll feel like sandpaper, very rough. And you may be able to see some layering in these types. And finally, maybe you have a metamorphic rock. Remember, these are rocks that have been changed by heat and pressure. And some things that you would want to look for would be wavy lines or stripes, maybe some thin flat sides, maybe sparkles. So I hope you have a pretty good idea of which rock you have. And I'll tell you in the next slide how you're going to share that. Okay, so what I would like you to do today is go onto Flipgrid. I'll put a link for that on my website. I also had a video on Monday, I believe, showing you how to use it. So if you didn't happen to catch that, you can go back and watch it, but it looks super easy. You're going to make a quick video. You're going to hold up your sample and you're going to tell us what type of rock you think it is and why, based on the different characteristics that we just went through in the PowerPoint. Maybe it has wavy lines, maybe it sparkles, maybe it has fossils in it, so you know it's a sedimentary rock. So give us some reasoning behind why you think you know what type of rock you have. All right, I look forward to seeing all of your different rocks and seeing your faces. I miss you guys. Hope you're doing well. Bye.